Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the OK Run Show
Been a
after
long time.
after a long hiatus after the cross
hmm
country season. Shawn and I actually had to do school for a little bit, and be functioning members of society. So now we're on Christmas break. So we're like, let's get back to it. Let's talk
Yep.
some returners today. We're gonna start with just distance returners. Keep this fairly brief of a podcast. But Shawn's gonna pull him up. He's been doing a little bit of a deep dive recently into kind of who to look out
And
for heading into this
see this,
outdoor
Colin?
season. Yes, I can. It is up on my screen at least.
All right. I don't know if people can see it, but they can kind of assume. So, Colin, what do you think about the 800?
The 800,
Noah Thayer is probably your
Noah
like
Thayer is, I think,
if he's doing
potentially,
indoor.
yeah. It's hard to bet against Noah Thayer. Obviously, he's the top returner time wise. I believe he was the top returner as far as state placement. I don't remember if him or Harry O finished higher. I don't know.
Also, these times are all off of the outdoor season. We just chose to take that route, but we are
Yeah.
primarily talking about indoor right now. So,
Oh, as far as indoor goes,
yeah, that's kind of the because that's what we're
I
supposed to
hate
be.
to say indoor, at least in the States, a little bit of a crapshoot because you don't know who's going to run. You don't know what fitness
Mhm.
they're in. Um,
I think Harry Ormiston ran last year and he
yeah,
ran 6 in indoor.
he comes from more
I
the
could be
speed side.
tripping, but
Thayer drops down to run the 800, where Harry
hmm
is essentially moving up from the four.
yeah.
So they're a good battle. It's kind of a speed versus strength thing. I don't know where either of them are going to sit. Obviously, Thayer came off of finishing his cross country season really
hmm
strong, very strong, finishes state champ.
Yep.
Um, so he's stronger than he was the year prior, I would imagine. So that's going to only bode well for him. But the 800 meter, like you can't discount speed. You can't discount Harry
Mm.
Ormiston, at least right now. I think if we were to just go, oh, it's Noah Thayer's to lose, we may be correct, but
If he's even
don't
doing it indoor,
don't
you
count
know.
out Harry. I imagine he will. I imagine he'll try to run as many events as he can and try to
You
have
hope,
a
yeah. Just because I
big
mean,
season.
having kind of a slower start
But
to the
could
cross
could
and
Harry O be a bit of, what Joshua Ramage was last year? Is the guy that kind of
yeah.
just popped in the 800, and like all kind of throughout the season, it was maybe a little bit debatable who was going to win the 6-8 race. And then come
hmm
state, there's a state record. There's a new. Could
Yeah.
potentially Harry Ormiston be that guy this year? I don't know. Maybe. Some guys a little further down. I mean, 5A, you have
Got
Rowan
like
Myers, who was
yeah.
hurt. 4A, Rylan, no fire. He had a decent cross season, very respectable cross season. Ty Brooks is, I don't know where they're going to be for, I believe they're going to be 4A for track, I
I'm
would imagine.
assuming they'll do at least one indoor meet. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that like Lincoln would probably run the at least one of them.
Yeah, I would imagine. I don't know. They probably would go over to Arkansas.
Yeah.
I know
Or like Pitt.
Pitt. Yeah, go up to Pitt. I'm, I don't know. I just have a hard time predicting indoor just because you never know who's going to run. And
Well, a
who
lot
will
of
run
it
fast is
depends
also,
on the new like indoor championship that we've
yeah,
been
I
doing
think
the last
that'll
couple of
draw
years.
some bigger numbers than the year previous. I mean, as it kind of has been over the last 2, 3 years.
Yeah.
But just kind of going forward into the season, indoor or outdoor, just kind of looking at some of the names. Um,
1600 is interesting because I could see
I
something pretty fast. I know last year
I
Brody Woodcock was like 417.
I'm gonna say this one really is theirs to lose.
Yeah.
I don't
100%.
think. Well, here's the thing: is his challengers in cross country could challenge him in the 2 mile. They're not
Yeah.
challenging him in the 1600.
No.
Like Mez is great. He doesn't have foot speed.
Mm-mm.
Um, Matthias is good. Again, not a guy with foot
Not a lot
speed.
of foot speed yet, at
Like I
least.
could
Yeah.
see Matthias run 420, maybe four teens high,
hmm
but he's a very strength guy. He's going to be like Cam Langdon,
Yep.
was last year, 417,
Which
pretty
is great,
respectable,
but
418,
speed
419. I could see
wise,
something
yeah.
like that out of him. And I could see, him run like 159, 158 in the
hmm
800. Thayer ran 153 last year. He's probably going to run like 152 or maybe even a 151, depending on
Yeah.
kind of how the battle shapes up there between him and like Harry O and
Yeah.
Sam Russell. like some of those guys, how that shapes up. But I think 1600 really Thayer is, I mean, he's the cross country champ and he's the fastest returning 800-meter guy.
It's
He
his
literally on both sides of the spectrum, like he's going to meet in the middle here. And I believe the 1600 is his best event. He is
yeah.
a great miler, and I think he'll continue to be that. I don't think anybody's going to challenge him. I think there's going to be more interesting to see who gets second. Brody Mason with a year
I mean, I
further
know
past his
Brody.
injury.
I know he. I think there was. I received word. There's a time trial. I can't confirm or deny that
Go
he
ahead.
ran like 420
Cool.
by himself.
Cool.
So if that's actually the case,
Yeah.
that's already an improvement on
Mhm.
last year. So it'd be interesting to see an indoor because Jinx is typically a school that's going to run indoor because they're a
They'll
big
run
school,
one.
have a
Yeah,
lot of
they'll run
money.
at least one.
So
Um,
it's likely that he'll get himself in an
mhm.
800 or like a 1600 race and just see what he does. It'd be cool to see a
Yeah.
couple of these guys go down to Arkansas and really race on a fast indoor track with some
Mhm.
other athletes that not from
For
here.
sure.
That's what you hope for. Because a lot of times with like indoor in Oklahoma, we had Enid for so long, and I'll always stand by the Enid indoor. It's a great time, but that's not a track where you're going to run fast. And frankly, it's not a good track in general. So a lot of athletes don't get. For a long time in Oklahoma, there wasn't a lot of indoor options, but it's been these last 5 or so years, it's kind of seemed to you get more athletes going to Arkansas or Pitt State, and even OU indoors kind of. Oh, OU indoor is not really a fast. It's a 200-meter, pretty quick little loop. It's still a better track than Enid. So we're seeing a lot more indoor in Oklahoma, which is a good thing.
Yeah. I also just think that this year we're gonna have a lot of guys in that low 420 range. So like the
I
battle
agree.
for second in like 6A is gonna
Yeah,
be interesting. I think we'll see where Rowan Myers is at. But like 5A could get interesting for him, especially with kind of some of the step
Zachary
forward we
Williams
saw
too.
out of some guys in cross, like
Hmm.
even his own teammate. Um, even guys like Isaiah Blevin, like where does
Yep.
that guy stack up? Where does Tesfaye and Adam out of Guyman, where do they stack up this year?
Hmm.
Because they took a step forward. But even like a Mez Barth, who's a 428 guy last year,
Yeah,
is
he's taking such a big leap
he
in
may be a
cross.
415 guy this year in a fast race.
Hmm.
So, and I think fast races definitely suit him. He's not going to win a sit and kick. He's going to need a big, like, wind up from a K out kind of guy.
Yeah,
Um,
Zachary Williams
he'll
too.
run indoor. He
He'll run
typically does.
indoor. I mean, 425
I could
isn't
see him going under
anything
that indoors. I could see
special
him going
compared to
under.
his cross times, but
Yeah,
he took a
he's
big
a guy
leap.
that took a step forward in cross, and I
Yeah.
think he's going to continue to take a step forward in track. I think he's another guy that'll be in that kind of four teens high, like 415 to 419, somewhere in
I,
there.
I'd
I
have
could
to
I
say the
could very
same
much
thing. I
see
think,
that as
yeah.
like that's kind of where he ends up for a good amount of the
It's
season in.
difficult, kind of like you were saying, for me to imagine more than one or two athletes running sub 414, 415
Yeah,
this year.
oh, for sure. I
Which is
think
usually the case, but like last
yeah.
year, it was a little bit. We had some faster milers. We had a couple guys
Yeah,
get real close.
we had guys that were a little more they had a little better range on them, where now it's like we either have speed guys or we have strength guys. We don't really have
Exactly.
anybody that's a true middle ground. Like Rowan Myers is, but like
As of now,
where's
at least, we
yeah,
could,
we could
but
for sure. It could guys could take steps forward and that we don't realize right now. 3200.
this is interesting to me. Also, obviously, in indoor, it's not going to be the 3200, it's the 3000. But either way, this is even for outdoors, this is an interesting kind of race because I think it's more like cross. It's
Yeah.
the closest thing that you'll get to cross country and track because it's the longest thing they'll do in high school.
Yep.
Which, like, you got like Cameron Langdon, 918. Obviously, for 4A, Zachary's going to be more or less by himself, but who knows what happens with that. You got Mez Barth, who's run 1502 and cross. Are we going to see him run 850 something? Cameron Langdon, who had a great cross country meet, well, had a great end of his season. Are we going to see him run 9 low? So this is interesting to me too. And you even got guys kind of like down here. I mean, Ethan Jones even could have a massive leap due to his cross season.
Yeah.
Ty Brooks,
I mean, you'll have a freshman like
Maxton even
Matthias.
had a heck of into his
Yeah. I mean,
season.
there's a lot of guys that like definitely took steps forward that I think we're
Adam
gonna have
Seam right
a
here,
yeah. It's
Charlie
just
Ritchie, who had
this
a
might
who's
be a
up and
more
down, but
entertaining
yeah.
like event all around. Like
Hmm.
1600, a little bit of a foregone conclusion. 800, there's like maybe two or three guys that are going to
Yeah.
be like really, really fast, like under 155. And 3200, I don't want to say it's a crapshoot, but like if Thayer decides to go up to the 3200, there's another player.
Yeah.
Matthias will be a player. Mez Barth will be a player. And that's just 6A. 4A is super deep this year. I mean, you have Zach Williams, but you saw how Ethan Jones took a step forward. Dathan Custer, can't leave
Hmm.
him out. Ty
Yeah.
Brooks, Sammy Ferris. There's just a lot of
And
guys that
in
like,
track, I mean, since the events aren't as long, obviously, there's a lot more. It's usually closer, not
yeah,
always. So, like cross country, we saw kind of a blowout, for 4A, but
sure, yeah.
track could be very different. It could be maybe it's down to the wire in a lot of these events, just because track is a lot more. It's just a lot shorter. I mean, that's kind of the
Mhm.
best way to put it. But let's move on to the girls, the 800.
I think the theme here is
It's
just
going
going
to
to
be Bella
be
Nelson probably, unless
the theme here
somebody.
across every event is just let's just say it once, not say it
Hmm.
again. Bella's your favorite in all of them.
Yeah,
When
no
we've
doubt.
doubted her in the past and said, oh, maybe this girl's starting to look good early in the season, Bella finds a way. So let's
Hmm.
just say Bella's probably number one. Let's talk
I
about
could
who are the
see
other
her
contenders.
not running indoor though, just because
She
based
will.
off of
I'm talking about the season
cross
as a whole.
country, of course,
I'm
yeah,
talking about the season as a whole.
but for indoor, I could see her not running, maybe one meet.
Mm-hmm.
Just because if you look at their cross season, she didn't really run that much until Rogers State, which was a month almost of, not more or less. So that's obviously somebody that, yeah, she's the favorite going into every event this season for the.
They run a very collegiate esque
Hmm.
system. They don't run a high school system.
Exactly.
They run a like collegiate like schedule for sure. They race maybe every other week, not every week.
Yeah.
They race when they have good opportunities, not when they have an opportunity. So, and it
Yeah.
bodes well for them, as we saw here when they peaked at the right time. I mean, they're not worried about chasing, winning some podunk nowhere meet. They worry about winning the big ones. So,
I do see a lot of athletes potentially hitting that
yeah,
2:15 mark after
there's
this
a
because
lot of girls that'll be
I mean, you
215s.
got one, two, three, four
Mm-hmm.
216, and you got a handful in 217.
There'll be a
And
lot in
it's, well,
215 range.
if you notice, there's 5A, 6A, but then there's also a lot of, and it's across all the classes too, it seems, or most of them, which kind of will be good for every, what am I even saying? It's
I
going to
don't
be
know. I'm
good.
letting you go. I'm just
Yeah,
letting you.
hey,
I'm
I
riding the
blanked,
wave here, the wave of
I,
Shawn.
I blanked, folks. It's been about a month since we've done this, so out of practice. But it's going to be a good event. All right, moving on to the 1600.
Nice. Good recovery. Good recovery. All
Yep,
right.
yep.
What's your 1600 thoughts?
I mean, it's the same.
Same thing.
Um, I think 5A and 6A for the girls and the 8 and the 16. I'm not going to say it's decided, but there's clear favorites.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no debating it.
Yep.
This
And I
isn't.
think that's kind of how cross was anyway.
Yep.
It's going to be more interesting to be who's 2 through 5.
Yeah.
Again, like cross was.
'Cause there's a lot of athletes here that you could see running five low, maybe
For
even
sure.
some break five,
There'll
right?
be, I think, more girls break 5 this year.
Hmm.
And like, I
What
think we
I
could
am
have
interested to see
4.
is if we see, I know Peyton ran like 4:48, and that's a state record. I
Mm-hmm.
do see that there is a slight chance that could drop or get close
Yeah.
to dropping.
Yep.
That's still pretty crazy to think about, but
I think it could happen.
oh, I think it could happen. Not an
I'm
indoor.
not.
It would happen
No, no,
late and outdoor,
no,
but
no. It's not happening indoor. Indoor
I
is just
do think
not going to
that's
happen.
possible. So that's something to kind of look out for. Ooh, wait, what was that? Hold on. Yeah, I do want to point this out. Charlotte Tangren, who's going to be a freshman, ran 5:27. It just popped up.
She's not even going to be a freshman. She's going to be an eighth grader.
No, I think she's going to be a freshman. Oh, no, sorry, I'm wrong. Eighth
2030.
grader. Eighth grader,
And
yeah.
we are old
She'll
now.
be a freshman next cross season,
Next
but
cross season.
Something to watch out for, because I mean, I know if we're basing it off of like times and cross for 32, which is don't do, but still, I'm pretty sure she like ran the fastest or close to the fastest time in the entire
I think
state.
it was the fastest up until state, and then the
Yeah,
4A girls ran a little like
a
Bailey
little fast.
Woodrich ran a little quicker.
But to put that into perspective, I mean, there's essentially an eighth grader right now that could run with a lot of those girls right now. Now, how does that
Mm,
translate to a 5K? Because she's going to be in Jinx. Who knows? We'll see. But
mm.
something to watch out for. Track will be good because track, like what me and Colin say a lot, times matter in track because you can't fake a track. Like so it'll give us a
Times are
good
much more
look
objective
about
in track.
yeah, 3,200. I know Bella didn't run it at state, so if
No,
we're talking outdoor, it's hard to predict. Indoor would be the 3,000. I mean, there's a handful here that could do well.
if Bella doesn't run the 3,200 come state, Duggan's winning it.
Yeah,
It's like literally
I'd probably have to
if we
agree.
erased Bella Nelson this cross season, Duggan was the favorite and it wasn't
Hmm.
close.
Yeah,
And that's what state looked like. Bella Nelson was the favorite. Duggan a little bit
wasn't close.
behind her, but a clear second. Ava
Hmm.
Cornelius took a pretty good step
Yeah.
after transferring over to Owasso. But there's also plenty of girls that like, I mean, we could have a few more under that 11-minute mark, and I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be
I
shocked
hope
if,
so. Yeah.
similar to the mile, that I believe there could be 4 or 5 girls under 5 minutes. I think
Hmm.
there's going to be 4 or 5 girls under 11 minutes this year. And we had like 2 or 3 in both of those last year.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have a bunch of girls, like just the depth of the fields. And I think this is also true in the men, but the depth of the fields, I think, are going to take a step forward. Actually, maybe not as much in the men. The men, I think, lost a lot of depth. They had a really good senior class
Yeah.
leave
They did.
across all divisions, um, except for like a 4A. Like a 4A is like just as deep this year as they were the year previous because like nobody graduated. Um, but on the women's side, it's like everybody who was good stayed outside of like a small handful of girls. So I think that this year will be one of the deeper years. Um, but there's quite a few girls, as we know, that are graduating this year, a bunch of really strong seniors. And so this time next year, we're probably looking at a whole new landscape on the girls and
100%.
a pretty whole new landscape on the boys, minus some guys like Thayer will still have another year.
Yeah.
Matthias will be heading into his sophomore year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, there'll be some players keeping around, but yeah, I think that's all for previewing that I
About
think.
covered it. Yeah.
Indoors a little bit of a crapshoot. We would love to be able to say that all of these top athletes we're gonna get to see them or not. Not everybody's gonna run. Some people are gonna choose
I
to, some
do
people
hope
aren't.
that we see a lot just because I think indoor is a real good for
It's getting bigger.
track in our state because it does attract a lot of out of state too potentially. But it's going to take a few more years, I think, for that to really take off. But hey,
Yeah.
we're gonna do the best we can to promote it on Instagram and on
Yeah.
Milesplit,
We
and
will. Yeah.
hopefully, we're gonna make the most of it. It's fun. It's a different kind of thing. It's kind of nice because it's warm in there, and when you know, I remember track meets are a lot of fun for Colin and I, but when it's like early season outdoor, it's kind of cold still. You get
Your
brittle
boys
out
are cold.
there, man.
We are
Telling you.
both of
So,
us, although we don't run as much as we used to, so we're not as skinny as we used to be.
yeah.
We still get cold very easily.
It's just
Uh,
I'm sitting up in the stands having to film. I'm like,
his fingers are
but,
frozen to the phone.
yep,
He cannot move them. So it's just one big recording. He hits start at the start of the track meet. He has to cut it up later. Don't make Sean do this.
yep.
If you got
Hey,
some hot
tell me,
hands, bring them to Sean. His hands
hey,
are cold. His
let's
fingers are
start that.
a little bit chilly
Let's
out
start
there.
that movement right
You
there.
got if you got a cup of hot chocolate, he'd take it,
Yeah,
you know?
when you,
We'll try to make it to some indoor races. At least the big kind of state one. We'll
yeah, we
definitely
will
be at that
definitely
one.
be at that one.
Um, Likely no others.
Yeah.
Although I could see a world where I drive up to Washburn, even if they're not paying me to go to Washburn, just to because
Hmm.
I can sleep on someone's couch for free there. Um, can sleep in my old house and
Yeah.
go watch people run. But that would only be if we had enough Oklahoma kids that I'd be like, oh yeah, I want to go see this. Um, Nah, I just want to go see my friends, so I probably still would go. But yeah, so we'll figure out our season. We'll kind of, I believe we're planning in the next week or two. We'll have the same thing, but for sprints and hurdles, and then one separate one for
Yeah.
just field events. And we're gonna try to cover as much as we can. Talk about kind of maybe, hey, some things to look out for come indoor, but really just kind of the whole season. Seeing like, hey, who's back?
Mhm. Yeah.
Because it's been a while since we've seen the sprinters race. It's
It's tougher for Colin and I to kind of give a preview on the sprints and the jumps right now. We're gonna do our
mhm.
best because it's been a year almost for a lot of, or like
Yeah.
9 months,
Well,
but
also
like,
like you have a lot of the sprinters, like especially on the men's side, they'll play
mhm,
football. And like there was a guy who I believe could have broke the 400 state record.
mhm.
Who's come back out of Stillwater High School. He was the state
Yeah,
champ. He was like a second, half a second off of the state absolute record by Gil Roberts, an Olympian who has an Olympic gold medal in the
yeah,
4x4. Like he could have had that record, but he tore his ACL in football.
exactly. So we also
And
don't know
we
who's
also
injured.
don't know about that stuff. We don't know what guys maybe we're put in a situation like that got hurt playing football or basketball or girls, same thing.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um, we don't know because like distance runners, we're gonna see them twice, like two separate seasons.
yeah.
So we're gonna see them once in the fall. We kind of know where people are at here. We get two checkpoints. We get the fall season, we get the
Hmm.
spring season. So we're constantly keeping up with them. We get to see the sprinters once a year for a couple months.
Yep.
We see them here. Maybe they run a summer meet, but most of them don't. Most don't. Distance runners do because distance runners, once they find out that they're finally good at a sport, they're gonna keep to it. Where
Yep.
sprinters, a lot of them are just freak athletes because
Yep.
a lot of your top sprinters, they actually are probably going to go off and go play football or basketball somewhere. And
Hmm.
you're like, all right, they're just freak athletes. So,
Yeah,
like running isn't their
exactly.
only thing, where usually for distance runners, that is their only thing. So they're always there. We're always seeing them. We're constantly seeing them. We see them in indoor because they'll go run an indoor race. They'll go run an AAU after the season. They're just constantly going. So they're easy to
Mhm.
keep track of for us, for sure. But if you guys
So
have any insider information, fucking
yeah,
hit
hey,
us up. We'll take it. If
send
you
it
know
our
a
dang
kid,
way, man. I'm telling you.
if you guys
And
got a
also, and also, I'm just gonna say this. Actually, I'm not gonna say this. Keep talking.
all right. Well, and if you guys got some transfer kid in,
Yeah.
some 6'9" shot putter who's just an absolute specimen of a human being who can launch the ball 60 feet, let us know. We'd love to know about that.
Hmm.
We don't know these things. And so don't come at us when we didn't predict your random kid that we had never heard of to do well because
Yep.
we can only deal with the information that we have. So sometimes we make mistakes. And
Mm.
now with track, unlike cross country, we now have exponentially more people to cover. So we're
It's
gonna mess some stuff up. We're probably not gonna be
gonna
as
take some
detailed on
time.
some
Yep.
things. So bear with us. And if you'd like to give us some little insider info on how your team might be looking, hey, our DMs are open. Our DMs are
Hey,
also open for your hate mail if you think we're terrible. So
hey,
like,
listen.
let us know.
Yeah, keep sending
Let us
that hate
know.
to me about the track club post. Send it my way, guys. Please.
Oh, I'm
More.
I am
More.
Switzerland. I am Switzerland. I am neutral. I
I wasn't
live.
gonna say it, but I was like,
Oh,
ah.
go ahead. I kind of threw you a lob there, but
Hey,
I
hey,
am
send it
I am
my way,
Switzerland.
folks.
I am neutral on this. I love high school coaches and I love club coaches.
Yeah,
Love all of you
that's how I do
guys.
too.
Come talk to me. If you don't like Shawn anymore, you can come up to me
Yeah,
at meets and be like,
guys,
hey, I love mile
we're
split,
coming.
but I hate Shawn. That's okay.
Yeah,
But
sorry, guys.
also, you're welcome to come up to me and say, I love mile split. I love Shawn. I hate you. And I'll laugh.
Yeah,
So come
hey,
with it. I don't care.
word,
Like I'm
word.
good. Like
People just be hating, man. It's okay.
it's all right. I understand both sides for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
Shawn and I
yeah.
had a conversation about this,
No, I do too. That's
but
I'm not trying to poke fun at anybody. I just thought it was kind of hilarious.
it's
You know.
it's at the end of the day, I think all of us are out here to improve the experience that the kids that are competing
Exactly.
right now are doing. And so whatever we can do, that's what Shawn and I are always trying new things. Like we started bringing cornhole boards, and then we got in a heated cornhole battle with a couple guys from Edmond
Yeah,
Memorial.
it was great.
Like,
Honestly,
and we were having a good time.
yeah.
And we try to be fun. Like our interviews are not just, "Hey, how was your race?" They're, "Hey, how was your race?" Plus, "Hey, what do you think about this?"
Hmm.
Um, it's good. It's a good time. We have fun. We are, in all honesty, Shawn and I, although we've had people come up to us at meets and think we're 30 years old.
Yeah, I think some people
Sean and
think,
I are Sean and I are 22. I think we're both 22.
yeah, I turned 22 a couple months ago.
Yeah, so I mean we're not that much older.
Mhm.
Although I do definitely Dade. If you guys don't follow Dade Humes on Strava, please go follow him. He's great. We love Dade. Everybody loves Dade. Um, he put something about how he was battling unk allegations, and I imagine he's running with some of his old Piedmont teammates. Mind you,
Yeah.
Dade has been graduated for 6 months. He has
Yeah.
been in college for not that long. I've been
You're
in college for 5 years. Sean's been in
you're
college
not
for
unk.
4.
You're not unk until you hit 22. Because
No, see, but
my thing,
I made the comment on his Strava post that
yeah,
as for every year that passes after, it is exponential how much more of like an old man you are comparatively to your friends.
yeah,
Because like I felt really old when I went back to do a fun run 5K with my high school team in winter break
yeah,
of my freshman year of college. I was like, man, I'm so old compared to you guys, even though I had just spent the last well, some of them like 8 years of my life
yeah.
every day with them. And I just the last 6 months I'd been, 5 hours away in the distant foreign land of Kansas. Um, and it's fun.
Yeah,
But
man. Hey, Dave, listen, when you hit 22, everything changes.
Dade, you're just gonna continue to feel old because trust me, when you come back in the summer, if you choose to come back,
Yeah.
you'll come back in the summer and you'll go on runs with your old teammates who, again, you're not much older than, and you're gonna feel even older. It only gets worse. Like
Hmm.
it's like every 6 months is like a year. It's exponential the growth, and then the next 6 months is like a year and a half. You just like
Hmm.
so much time goes by.
I think
And
it's that you're, yeah, we don't gotta get into that. That's a long conversation about how college can change people, but we
oh
don't gotta
yeah.
get deep on this podcast. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah. We can
word.
get deep in this podcast. We did have in fall, we did have Sean's life advice. So maybe we need Sean's words of wisdom about how the universe works.
Oh, wow,
Just
that's a
like the
loaded
inner
question.
workings of philosophical nature of the world by Sean Rutledge.
Hmm. Um, Dadgum. Lean on Jesus Christ.
There you go. That's
There
the
you go.
philosophical takeaway of the day. No matter what, just I can lean on the big man upstairs. He'll take care of you.
Yep.
But all right, I believe that's it for us. Unless Sean has more to rant about. I guess I'm the one that does the ranting usually. But
Nah, we're chilling. We'll see y'all in like a week or two, probably.
all right, see you guys.